Hey, welcome to the shop. Today I'm talking about my Deko Pro Welder. It's a cheap inverter stick that I picked up off of Amazon about a year or so ago. And let me tell you why I bought this. I have a pretty good little side hustle weld shop set up here, but not a good portable option. I'm like, oh, for that price, I'll pick it up. How bad can it be? And spoiler alert, I really quite like it. First of all, it's pretty simple. It's a small machine. It has a digital readout for amps here. I don't know how accurate it is, but you know, you can tune it in anyway. So for the kind of welding I'm doing, it doesn't matter too much. The cord is you know, not real heavy gauge, so just keep that in mind. It has your standard 220 outlet on it, and then it comes with an adapter for 220 to 110. So you can use this with a 220 volt or 110 volt outlet, and that's pretty nice to have that flexibility, especially being portable. I mean, this can fit right behind the seat of my truck and just ride around with me, honestly. The leads that it came with are surprisingly good, I think. I mean, the gauge material seems pretty sufficient. It's got the DINS connectors on it. The ground clamp is cheap. That's fine. And you know, the stinger seems just fine as well. So about 10-foot long leads, which is pretty nice. And so the cool thing for me about this is, for you know, $100 or so for the welder, and then you get yourself an angle grinder, some gloves, a hood, chipping hammer, and you're pretty much in business. So let's light up some arcs and see how this thing runs. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a softball here. I've got a 3/32 or 2.4 millimeter 6013 electrode, and I've got my machine plugged into a 120 volt outlet and set to 65 amps. So let's give this thing a try here. Okay, that seemed to run alright, but I think I need just a little more heat. Yeah, it's just laying in there on top. Let me crank this thing up about 10 amps here. I bumped it up to 75 amps. Let's keep running this and see how we do. Still seem to run just fine. There we go, that looks pretty good. Okay, while we're on 6013, I'm gonna throw in a 1/8 inch 6013 and crank it up to 105 amps while we're still plugged into this 110 volt outlet. It's probably gonna be about as high as we'll be able to go on 110. We'll see if we can even do it. Alright, well, it ran. It seemed like it was running a little colder than 105 amps though, so I don't know if we're reaching the limit here on what we can run with 110. But I ran a bead. Let me go ahead and tip this slag off here and see what we got. Yeah, I mean, it looks like that was running a little bit cold. So I peeked over at the machine while I was welding. It was still reading 105 amps on the display, so I think it only reads what it's set to. It's not reading out an actual, like you know, other machines might. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just unplug this from the 110 volt outlet, plug it into the 220 volt outlet with the same settings, and try that again. Okay, so again, I'm running 1/8 inch or 3.2 millimeter 6013 electrode set to 105 amps, plugged into 240 volt outlet now. I say 220, 240, I don't know, it's one of those. Anyway, it's plugged into my big plug now, and we'll see how that compares to the same settings plugged into the 110 volt outlet. Boy, that's night and day different. So definitely getting a lot more heat out of that there with the 240 volt outlet. Let me clear some of this slag off of there. Oh yeah, that's way better. So anyway, definitely kind of reaching the limits, I think, of what we can do with a 120 volt outlet. That being said, being able to run a 3/32 electrode is not a bad thing, right? If you're in a bind, you got to go somewhere and all you have is a 120 volt outlet, you can run some 3/32 electrode and do quite a bit if you're not doing heavy gauge stuff. It'll just take a couple of passes usually. Hey, so I'm going to move on to 6011 electrode now. Just a little tip with these little inverter machines. I don't have any 6010 left here in the shop, so I can't run any of those, but usually 6011 runs a little better with these little inverter machines than 6010. Some of them have a hard time keeping a stable arc with that. So, you know, 6011 might be a better choice anyway. Let's see how it does. Okay, that seemed to run pretty good. I think it's run a little bit hot, seems like to me. I'm going to turn it down to about 100 amps. Again, I don't know exactly what, you know, how accurate the amperage reading is, but to me that felt just a little bit hot. So, okay, I got it turned down to about 100 amps. I'm going to give this another go with the 6011. Alright, so the last rod I'm going to run is some 1/8 inch or 3.2 millimeter 7018 electrode. Now, 7018 electrode is really my favorite rod. Check out down in the description, I'll put a link. I just did a full tutorial video on stick welding as a whole, so you want to check that out if you're interested in learning stick. And also check out the other videos on my channel and see if it's something you might like to subscribe to. I'd love to have you join along with all these videos that are coming out. So. Let me go ahead and give this a try. I've cranked it clear up to 140. It's a little on the hotter end of what I'm going to run one of these 1/8 7018s with, and we'll see how it does. Okay, so that definitely burned in there hot. Yeah. Was able to do it, ran pretty good. Okay, I got a couple of 1/8 inch thick coupons here. I'm going to give it a try with this 7018 electrode and see if I can't run a fillet weld on these with this machine. I've turned it down to 115 amps so I don't toast these coupons, since it's a little bit on the thinner end of what I'd run with a 1/8 inch rod. So let's give it a try. Alright, well, let me go ahead and clean some of the slag off here. Alright, well, I think that's a pretty good little round of tests for this machine. Like I said, I've been pretty happy with it for what it costs, especially. Get you going without spending a lot of money. And so check it out. I got a link below in the description there, and I'd love to have you check out the other videos on my channel. We'll see you next time.